Okay, there it is, recording. I actually invited Chris also. I don't know if he's gonna show up though.
Using Christopher from
Yeah,
SIS.
Christopher Lim. Dude, transcript is so effed up. It's in Japanese. What the hell? Okay, hold up.
You already restarted recording this and you were saying shit like this.
Okay, there you go. It's fixed. All right. Okay, everyone. We are back with this week's AI is Fun, continuing off with our October series talking about art, many different types of art within movies, video games, paintings. So the whole overarching theme is this defining art in AI space, of course, from pics to movies. Last week we talked about deepfakes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've got a little bit of a follow-up this week, but more on that later. Usually I'm joined by Vic, Ian, of course myself, I'm Greg, Noel, Amar, and many other guests. Depends on the theme and the topic and availability. But today you'll mainly be having me and Ian working out this new podcast format where we try to narrate as much as possible from the screen to your ears. So if you're in the middle of lunch, if you're in the middle of doing some work, this is the perfect medium. Just sit in and listen on, right? For your ears only, kick back and do relax. And for the first thing I want to do today, do a little recap from our last session. If you are there for our last session, you might recall that we were talking about deepfakes. We do a little demo with specifically deepfakes in voice with this popular up and coming website called ca.ai, so character AI, where they are able to, make this character based on like a voice sample and a few like training data, so form a set of like personality traits. See how this character would reply to you when you speak to it. So you can be talking to political characters, historical characters, maybe like Gandhi, or maybe even characters that you didn't know exist. Uh, well, didn't exist in the first place, like Batman, Superman, right? And we went on talking about deepfakes, seeing how this technology is used to imitate a person's voice, a person's likeness, his face, right? And like output it in a different context, right? They're doing different things, they're talking about different topics, they're moving differently, right? And we see how deepfakes are used in real life within politics, talking about misinformation, so bad stuff. And we also see the good, talking about deepfakes in mainstream entertainment, especially in movies. We talked about a little bit in Star Wars, a little bit in Ghostbusters. We see how one in Star Wars it being used to de-age Carrie Fisher to 30, 40 years prior, so she looks younger, right? And resurrecting actors. I think the guy was called Harold. So he was one of the Ghostbusters who passed away, and they were bringing him back for the latest iteration of the movie, you know. And because he's dead, they had to use deepfakes to bring him back on the big screen. And we talked a little bit about consensual usage, because it is a part of your identity, a part of your your image rights, your voice rights. You do have to ask for permission. You cannot just steal these sorts of like usage of these data, right? And we also talked a little bit about using this concept on how some actors sell their likeness, sell their face, their voices to be used in many other contexts for many different kinds of reasons. We talked about Bruce Willis, right? Bruce Willis was selling his likeness off because he was suffering from this debilitating disease. He's getting a little bit disabled. He can't act for the foreseeable future, so he still wants an income to support his family, and of course he opted to sell it likeness. Right? And something we talked about last time, I don't know if you remember, Ian. We talked about Nicolas Cage, right, and how he showed up in The Flash, and it looked a little bit wonky. Well, funny thing, this news from a few days ago, he was in this award show and he urged young actors to protect themselves from AI. And his exact quote is that this technology wants to take your instrument, right? So let me dive a little bit on that. So of course, during this film festival, he did say that You shouldn't give into pressure from these, these filmmakers, these directors, employers, producers, whatever, opting to use AI to change or otherwise manipulate your performance, in which in essence is deepfakes, right? And so let's do a little bit of a deep dive into what he actually said. So exact quotes from Nicolas Cage that the studios want this so that they can change your face after you've already shot it. They can change your face, they can change your voice, they change your line deliveries, they change your body language, and they can change your performance, right? And an example, which of course is what we talked about last week, surprise, surprise, is that uh, would be his cameo appearance in this movie, The Flash, where he was one of the Superman variants, right? And of course, he said continues on with his quote that I'm asking you if you're approached by a studio to sign a contract permitting him to use this EBDR. I'm not too sure what this EBDR means. I think it was in the article, but it's pretty much using deepfakes to recreate your likeness, right? To use it for use in their movies, in their advertisement or whatever, right? And he wants you to consider that what I call this very long acronym MVMF MBMI, my voice, my face, my body, my imagination, my performance, right? And protect your instrument. So, Ian, you got any thoughts, my dude?
Um, yeah, a, a lot of things are this.
Yeah, because like I don't know, because like this whole thing of like selling your likeness is it's pretty new, right? Like even then, I feel like we've heard more of people just straight up stealing likeness, right? Just stealing some guy's voice and put it in a different context. Like I guess the bad side of deep fake. Yeah, anything to add, Ian?
Not much. I
Oh
think a
yeah.
lot of people know that their first thought of AI is that they'll steal your jobs.
Yeah, this is like one of the examples, right? They'll steal you from, being an action movie star. Just put you somewhere else without your consent. So,
The other thing that people think about is Terminator, right?
oh yeah, to where they stealing your voice to it. That's literally them being spies. They infiltrate within you and start killing people, which
Yep.
could be a real thing. Definitely could be a real thing when the technology like super advanced. But I don't think we'll see it in our lifetimes, or hopefully not, right? But it is definitely a possibility. Not the time travel though, but the Terminator part definitely. So for today's agenda, continuing on with ethics in AI art. We went through all this stuff with deepfakes, character AI, face rights, vocal rights, and today we're jumping on to image generation, which is something where I think both me and Ian are much more familiar with. Especially, we're very in deep with the artist culture, especially through social media, both Western and Asian. So we're gonna dive a little bit into it, a little demo on how it works using Copilot, and seeing it how AI generated images are showing up in the wild today, and whether or not it's legal to say, it's actually still very blurry, but we'll get into that. And what's the general public opinion, right? And to start off, okay, hold up, give me a second, Ian. Okay, there we go. So I think you're very familiar with this, Ian. The news of X, which is formerly known as Twitter, it's the latest social media site that allows third parties, so not X themselves, so other companies that pays X to use your data to train AI models. So it's pretty much them stealing your data and using it to train AI models, right? So how is that, right? Uh,
I saw a lot about this.
yeah, people are jumping ship from X, even though they've been using it for like 5 years, 10 years, and just jumping ship, which is very surprising how much of X's value like went down ever since Elon took over, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, the specific excerpt from this article is that Elon Musk X was already using data. We know that, right? They need to use the AI, the data to like improve the user experience in the website. That's no surprise. Using it to train uh, Twitter's own, I mean X's own AI, which is called Grok, I think Grok or Grok 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, which is people say that Grok is like a very uncensored version of like ChatGPT. You can put in whatever and it'll output whatever. There's like very little filters on it. I don't know if it's true because you need I think the premium paid version of X to be using it, but that's pretty scary stuff. And soon it will let other companies, third party companies, do the same. Take your data, feed it into their own AI, right? Without your consent, of course. So starting November 15, which is next within next 2 weeks. So the social media site formerly known as Twitter will share your user data, so your posts, your likes, your bookmarks, your reposts, like all these trends, all like even the specific content of the post, and then you'll share it to the third-party platforms. They're gonna use your information, train their AI, whether for good or for bad, right? Because later on, I'm going to share that you actually cannot opt out of this. You're automatically opted in. So no matter what you do, your data is going to end up somewhere else, right? So,
Pretty sure
Ian,
that's illegal.
it is illegal, right? You would think that this like violates some sort of privacy act in like the EU or something.
It does in Apple and Google's Play Store. I believe it is illegal.
Yeah, I don't know how he's getting away with this actually, because
Don't think it will.
yeah, I remember I think a few months ago because at Brazil, the Brazilian court ordered
And
X, yeah, to like take down these few like users which were Nazis, by the way, on the website. So it's like you gotta take these Nazi users down because it's hate speech, right? And Elon being Elon, they say that, oh, we gotta promote free speech in X, so we're not gonna falter on this, right? We're gonna keep these Nazi users on our website. It's like, okay, and the
and
Brazilian,
then all
yeah.
of Brazil.
Yeah, and all of Brazil decided to take down X from
Because
their. So no
that
one in
makes
Brazil.
sense.
Yeah,
That
so
makes a lot of sense.
it's like, okay, great. And then Elon realized he effed up, and so he did end up like you know
He
uh,
backtracked.
yeah, backtracking, banning those seven Nazi users from X, and who knows what can happen with this, right? Maybe he'll revise the terms and conditions or the privacy policy that allows third-party companies to take data. But for now, until this November 15th starts, I guess we don't know yet, right? And so it is pretty scary, yeah, and of course, when start this off. Image generation to Copilot. Actually, Copilot looks very different right now. I don't know if any of you have you seen the new Copilot, Ian?
I saw it appear in my desktop.
Yeah,
I saw
it's
it.
actually I don't know if I like the new UI. It's kind of ugly.
It gave me a bit of problems initially. They asked me to like switch to my personal account because I was on my
Yeah,
work account.
right. Because right now, it's like yeah, if you're on like the company account, they'll give you like I think the Microsoft 365 version on. Yeah, this one, yeah,
Yeah,
and that has a totally different UI from like the public one. So I'm gonna open up an incognito tab here so that I can access because I don't know why when I access the corporation, the company version of the Copilot, and when I want to switch back to the normal one, they don't let me. They don't even let me log into my like normal email, like my private email to access the normal Copilot. So I don't know what's up. Wow, it's so lag. Holy crap! I have too many tabs open. Give me a second. Let me kill one of my tabs. Okay, there we go. I got loaded. I just gotta turn on my. Let me kill my Windows. Okay, there we go. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, I gotta unshare it first. Share it again. Windows, and then there you go. Microsoft Copilot. Okay. Can you see the screen? Ian, did you see my
Yeah, I
screen?
can.
Yeah, the new thing looks like this now. You actually lost your search function thing on the right, like your search history, which
Oh
I thought
no,
was,
it's no,
yeah,
the search history is still there.
yeah,
Just you need to
it's here. You
press.
gotta go through it on here. You gotta press like three extra buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like over here, and then you gotta click over here, and then only you can go like open it up. It's like, what in the world? Yeah, okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of missed having it like over here, like with all the plugins, you can just switch back and forth. But this new one, I don't know, man. It is kind of terrible.
There's one thing I don't like about
Yeah.
it. When I tried like searching for things,
hmm
it didn't give me like suggestion prompts anymore.
Ah, is it? Oh yeah, yeah. I guess like this, like if I type Hello Copilot and then there's like none of those, because usually there's like the few
Yeah.
blocks here, right?
Yeah. I don't like that they removed that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like over time they remove a lot of things. Remember when they removed like the whole conversation styles thing? It's like when you can go from creative to balanced to like precise. It's like that's not around anymore. I don't know
I
why
don't
they removed it.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you have to pay for it.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a premium thing. I don't know. Okay, let's try with image generation. Yeah, any sort of recommendations, Ian? Image generation.
Image generation.
Yeah, any sort of pictures we can do. Something that's not too AI looking. Hmm. Uh,
Um,
what's like a topic recently you've been into?
that I've been into or that I've seen going around.
Either.
I've seen my Twitter's been showing me Donald Trump looking at McDonald's.
Yeah, that is. A lot of people thought that it was AI.
No, it's real.
Yeah, it is real. It's like
You would
no,
think it's
no, no.
AI.
It's like it's just a really weird PR stunt. I don't know. I don't know what's there. Okay, we can try that. Donald. Okay. Generate me an image of Donald Trump working in McDonald's, which oddly enough is real. Oh yeah. Okay. So one thing about Copilot, I guess, is that it does not want to use real individual. So it's
I
got that sort
mean,
of
fair
filter on.
enough.
We can have somebody else working in Copilot. Let's have Mickey Mouse working in McDonald's. Mickey Mouse working in McDonald's. I don't know if you'll take like intellectual property from other
Uh,
like companies.
better not get sued.
Oh, oh,
I don't want to see
the bot's
Disney
gonna
come
take
sue me.
the bot's gonna be taken down. Okay, I guess it one Mickey Mouse flipping burgers coming. Oh, what? Wow, that's actually really good, huh? They got like the whole McDonald's text working.
What is that?
This is
The
it looks like German.
is it German?
I don't know. I don't think this is real. But okay, this text they really worked out. The burger, the McDonald's logo, I love it. But this they still need a little bit of work on. But overall, I feel like the image generation using AI has went a long way from, people having 6 fingers and 3 limbs. Because you say 5 fingers. I guess that's one thing they really fixed.
But it's scary. It's already this good.
Yeah, it's like the uncanny valley, right? It's like it's kinda there, but it's not there. So it's like you kind of see what's wrong. You
Getting
get,
there.
yeah, you're getting there. In the future we're gonna get like super perfect, but until that time comes, we don't know what this can be used for, right? And as you said, Terminator, we're gonna be seeing Terminator.
I don't
So
think so.
yeah, not in our lifetimes, but in the future, definitely. Can try with there's actually one point I want to prove with mouse working in McDonald's, but in the style of Leonardo da Vinci.
That's gonna be very strange.
I'm expecting like those sort of like sketches, the sketches he does with the Vitruvian Man.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that.
I don't know if that's what is gonna a Da Vinci. Okay, unless he's gonna think it's Mona Lisa. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this looks so strange.
It is so strange. He's got the McDonald's cup on the table. Hey, he's got the Vitruvian man in the background though.
Yeah, I know, but it's
Yeah.
like you can tell one person doesn't fit in here.
Yeah. He's like he time traveled back to the Renaissance. Okay, yeah, so you kind of get the whole essence of like image generation. The whole things that you can put in is that you can put in a subject, which is Mickey Mouse doing whatever, and of course you can put in a style, right? So this we were talking about a style of Leonardo da Vinci, which is the big artist man back in the Renaissance era, the inventor, right? The artist. Of course, Mona Lisa was Da Vinci. So, right, Ian? Is Mona Lisa Da Vinci?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, okay. I thought it was crazy. Okay. Yeah, let me stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna go back to our slides. And okay, 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 there we go. And okay, I gotta include sound for this one. Okay, so that is one of the many image generation tools we have right now. Of course, in addition to it, we have the original DALL-E. I think yeah, these Chat GPTs own image generation, like their own engine. I think Copilot also uses DALL-E. I'm not too sure because
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
it
Copilot has
does.
the whole like collaboration with OpenAI. Right? Yeah, they use DALL-E. The latest one is DALL-E 3. Of course, one very popular one. They praise this one for extra details, extra specificity, and of course, just overall, you can't really tell the images from AI, which is Midjourney, right? If you see this one on the bottom left, AI generated image, but looks very real, right? So that's one of the biggest pros of Midjourney. But of course, the biggest difference between using Copilot and DALL-E 3 within ChatGPT and Midjourney is that Midjourney is actually a paid service, so it's not free, right? And a little bit of deep dive on how image generation works is that, traditionally when we think about humans, how do humans learn versus how does AI learn and, output all these sort of stuff, right? So humans learn when we take in information, we put it in our brains and then we output, right? We learn that maybe one plus one, okay, plus is an operator. So it adds two things together, and then we have an equals, which is like the result, right? So we put two things together, and we want the result. One plus one equals two. So that's the simplest way to put it, right? And how does uh, generative AI train for their own models, right? And so one big concept within generative AI is this whole large language model. Large language model is this collection of data which this model takes in, and it actually recognizes patterns, right? When you put in 100 pictures of, let's say, birds, it's going to start to notice this pattern that, oh, this picture is also a bird. And if you have another 100, maybe 100 queries on how to cook the best pasta, this large language model is going to notice a pattern. Oh, when you're cooking pasta, you're going to want to salt your pasta. You're going to want to, leave it boiling for how many minutes. You're going to use what sort of sauces. You're going to notice this sort of patterns. So that's essentially what the large language model is. And this large language model takes all this information from where else but the public internet, right? Public internet and maybe a very specific subset of data depending on what this large language model is going to be trained for. Like for example, if you're talking about Copilot, the large language model used that is very general, right? You want Copilot to be used for as much of anything you want. And of course, because it has this filter on, it will take data from the internet and place a restriction on it, right? You don't want this LLM to be taking in information on, let's say, how to create deepfake pornography or how to create nuclear bombs, right? So you don't want this co-pilot to be, an instrument of crime, pretty much. So that's how LLMs take data in. Of course, as an output, is that it can solve queries for you. And one example here is that you can now output an essay on ways to decipher fake news on the internet based on this pattern that you see. It's like, oh, how does fake news look like typically on the internet? How do deepfakes work? right? What are the trends? What are the patterns? And it'll give you how do other people solve it, right? And so it compiles all this data and figure out the most common ways to fix it, put it out into an essay, right? And similarly, when you want to specifically talk about image generation, of course, you take image data on the internet, feed it into this large language model, and they output something similar, right? So one example I have here is that because pictures of Van Gogh is in public domain, right? So anybody can use it for purpose of fair use, and this would be these pictures on the left. And what you get are these pictures on the right, which, if you haven't noticed, is actually AI. It's an AI output of Van Gogh, right? So it's taking Van Gogh's like uh, style, of course, and his most common subject matters, of course, in these blue skies and the meadows, just general like nature landscapes. Of course, with his style of these curvy lines, very like oil-based painting, very contrasting colors, cool colors on top, warm colors on the bottom, right? So you kind of like you would mistake this for a Van Gogh original, but no, it's AI, right? And so when we talk about this, as earlier I mentioned, there's two parts of it, right? One part is the subject. So you have the scenery, the objects, the people, the stuff that's happening inside, right? Birds flying, people talking, right? And versus that, in an image, you would see the style, right? You would see the brushstrokes of the artist, you would see the lighting used, maybe even the colors, cool colors, warm colors, right? So it's like it's not specifically the subject, but it's like how the subject is portrayed within this painting, right? And the thing with style is that it is mostly unique per artist, and just for a comparison, you can have like 10 people draw pictures of, let's say, birds, or draw pictures of Mickey Mouse working in McDonald's, right? But you are not going to see two of the same style uh, being used to draw Mickey Mouse, you know, working in McDonald's, say, right? And for a brief example here, we have Vincent van Gogh, which is a very popular artist from the 1800s, died 1900s, and Claude Monet. And you can see that their style is very contrasting. Vincent van Gogh uses darker, more stronger colors, while Claude Monet uses much more pastel-ish colors, right? And when we are looking at brushstrokes, maybe Vincent van Gogh uses much more curvy lines. Claude Monet uses this sort of like pointillism, even, right? So it's like very, very minor, like just drips of his paint compared to like swirly bits on Van Gogh. I'm not an art critic, so I can't really comment on this, but you get what I mean. And so, while on the topic of using AI art and taking other people's styles and putting it on your own output, it hasn't had the best like public opinion, right? So let me just show you this quick video, and you know we can discuss a little bit on this.
Hey there,
Okay,
stranger.
an
You wanna
ad.
skip this ad?
Yes, I want to skip this ad.
I love it.
Okay, great.
Hey, what's
This
up,
is the
guys?
one you
Rep
should
here.
pay for
It's
the
only been a few weeks since
VTuber
AI
ad.
generated art has exploded in popularity, and yet it appears we've already hit an absolute low. So, roughly 2 days after the passing of the legendary artist Kim Jong Yi, this scumbag makes the most tone deaf post you will ever see. Hi, I just trained a model to draw in the style of the late Kim Jong Yi as a homage. I'm fairly happy with the results given how complicated is his style. Hope you like it. Feel free to use it by yourself. Credit, please. Maybe for his next project, this loser should make a prompt to simulate basic human decency. No, seriously, imagine the nerve to not only use AI to create lifeless imitations of a man's art only 2 days after his death, but to do so while also demanding people credit you. Wow. And it probably comes as little surprise that this clown has been put on full blast by the art community for his gross effort. And in response to this very warranted criticism, he has since doubled down and continued his demands for credit in this now deleted reply. Needless to say, in a time where AI related technology has a horrible reputation in the art community, people like this are making it even worse. But instead of ending this video focusing on these soulless imitations, let's end by paying respects to Kim Jong-gi and taking in his translated message about what it means to be an artist. I'll see you guys next time.
When you get your first opportunity as a professional artist, you have to consider that you're doing this for your own personal use. Have ownership of your artwork. It actually took me a while to have that kind of professionalism, not just giving artwork for money or pleasing a client, but pleasing myself with the achievement of the artwork I just made. I think drawing a lot and really having a strong foundation will make you a good artist, because people will just acknowledge you. And those common mistakes young artists will make is because they feel pressure to be famous in a short period of time. But you cannot force fame or success.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So, Ian, any thoughts?
Hey, what's up,
Oh,
guys? Rev
crap.
here.
We started. Yeah, so anything on this, Ian? Okay, maybe Ian is away, but so
I mean, a
uh,
lot of people exist out there.
yeah, but like using like a okay, not specifically somebody an artist who passed away, right? But any artist using any artist's work, stealing their style like that, and asking for credit. I think that's too much, man. That's not your work.
People are shameless these days.
But yeah, you see that people don't take this very lightly, right? Because like, yeah, even though you're not stealing their like specific like paintings, like to put it up for sale or whatever, but you're stealing their style, man. That's also a part of a painting, right? And a segue to that is that I want to show this thing, which is what is covered as intellectual property, right? So when you're talking about image, earlier we discussed there's the subject, for example, Mickey Mouse, and there is the style, which is in the style of Van Gogh, right? And what does copyright protect within this whole, this whole realm of intellectual property? Of course, when you're talking about subjects, anybody can draw a picture of a mouse, right? There's no there's no fault to it, right? Anybody can do that. But when we're talking specifically about Mickey Mouse, now we're gonna have a little bit of problem with that. Disney will come down breathing on your necks, because for a fact is that this even a very big trend, like a long-standing trend within the art community, is that you don't want to be drawing Disney stuff because they will be, they will send your lawyers after you. Because in essence, is that Mickey Mouse as a character, the specific subject is covered by copyright, right? And so they control, like the owners of Mickey Mouse, which is Disney, they control what you can and you cannot do when portraying Mickey Mouse. And you cannot be using it in your art. Of course, you cannot be selling stuff with Mickey Mouse in your merchandise, and so forth. One good example we have is that I think Winnie the Pooh. So there's the original Winnie the Pooh, and of course the Disney Winnie the Pooh is Disney, right, Ian?
Um, that one I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. So
I'm
Winnie the
googling
Pooh,
this now.
because there's the Winnie the Pooh with the red shirt, right? That Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And the original Winnie the Pooh is actually not that red shirt Winnie the Pooh. Apparently, that red shirt Winnie the Pooh is like a reconceptualization for the cartoon, right? And so even though that Winnie the Pooh is covered by copyright, the original Winnie the Pooh, the one from the fairy tale, I think it's a fairy tale. I don't know. People can use it. That's why we saw there's this really off-brand Winnie the Pooh like horror movie. So people use that Winnie the Pooh as the main like horror flick killer. I don't know. So I guess that's like how different the copyright is, right? It could be the same like subject. We're talking about Winnie the Pooh, but different
Yeah.
interpretations of it is covered by copyright. Right?
They did have the rights for it, but it expired on 1st January 2022.
Yeah, but they still
That's
have the
why the
rights.
horror
Yeah,
movie
they still have
exists.
the rights to the normal Winnie the Pooh, the one with the red shirt, but they
They
don't
don't
have
have
the
exclusive rights.
yeah they don't have the rights to the normal one, the fairy tale one with like no clothes on. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah. So that's like the difference in copyright, right? And of course, the style earlier when you talked about is that when we draw an image, there's going to be a style, and this style is usually mostly unique from artist to artist, right? Where we cannot have the same subject you're usually going to have to say a different style per artist. And the only way usually you're gonna have the similar style is that, if you're copying off of it or you're learning off of it, which isn't a problem, right? But of course, when you're using image generation, as I said earlier, is that how image generation works is that you feed them these images, right? And of course, when you feed them these images, it's going to take both the subject and both the style, right? So when you're using image generation that specifically mimics another artist, like earlier, remember, I'm doing the thing with Leonardo da Vinci, right? So well, you're not stealing the whole image, right? Of course, you're not like taking the whole like subject or whatever, it's putting it as your own work. You're still stealing the style, right? Which is it's not great either. And so one big trend I've been seeing, I don't know if you've noticed this in like Twitter, Ian, is that a lot of artists put this like whole thing, which is
Oh,
don't use my art for AI machine
oh,
learning or
this.
whatever, right?
Okay, yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, and it's not only like an English speaking thing. I've seen it in like Chinese artists, Japanese artists, Korean artists, like this one forever. Eno Muran Shio is like don't like use my art without permission, of course. And including that is you know AI Gakushuto Fukumu, which is including using AI, using it for AI learning pretty much. And this one, right? Don't use my art without permission. No using it for AI in general. No using it for AI learning. And this one Korean, I I don't read Korean, but you see AI and the restrictive emoji. You know what's up? Don't use my art for AI, right? Pretty much. And of course, people still use it, of course. But sometimes I saw them justify it by saying, "Oh, you don't put this whole thing that you shouldn't be using my art for AI generation or for teaching my AI." It's like, of course, silence isn't consent, right? You can't just like
Yeah,
steal other people's stuff just because they don't say anything about it. I don't know how people justify this.
they justify it as if you don't get caught, it's not wrong.
That is true. That is true. This is why we still you see a lot of like AI, like uncredited AI images that clearly steals off of like other like artist styles being put up in it, and people really don't know the wiser, right? People thought that this is the original. I've seen it happen a couple of times, and like of course people get like angry about it, but it's like, of course, when you take down an account that steals your style, especially in this freaking an X, you take down this account, they pop up with 3 new accounts. It's like there's no end to it, man. And so of course, continuing on earlier, we were talking about how Elon Musk was allowing from November 15 and taking your data, your posts, your reposts, your likes, your feed, and giving them to third-party companies. So the specific excerpt I was reading through the terms of service, and something that is pertaining to this is that by submitting, posting, or displaying content or through the services, which is X, the website, you grant us a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free license with the right to sub-license. So that's the important part. They are allowed to sub-license it to third-party companies to use, copy, reproduce, process, adapt, modify, publish, transmit, display, upload, download, and distribute such content in any and all media or distribution methods now known or later developed for any purpose. So pretty much whatever you put on Twitter, they can use it for whatever, right? So that's the big legal oopsie. We don't know how legal this is yet because it's not being put into place until November 15, but I bet that the the courts are gonna have a real field time with it, especially with how this is it's a little bit iffy in the privacy. And this tweet has been buzzing. I don't know if you've seen this tweet. It's from last week, Ian.
I have not actually.
Yeah, it's got like I think a few 100,000 likes. It's just yeah, it's all the poor artists and creators Twitter. Prior to today, you can opt out of having your post used for image AI generated training, and of course, this new amended terms and conditions has made it impossible to do so, right? And people are angry, man. I've seen like thousands of comments on this post. People just how can them they users of X for over 5 or 10 years be subjected to this suddenly, right? And of course, as a response, this article, people are flocking to Blue Sky. Do you have a Blue Sky account, Ian?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm thinking of making one. So
I
people
got
are
it
how
before all of this
yeah,
mass migration
yeah.
happened.
I mean, people have been thinking of like going to here ever since Elon bought bought X in the first place for 44 billion. And so they think that Blue Sky, well, Blue Sky is marketing itself as the Twitter alternative, right? If you actually see the UI, have you gone to Blue Sky, Ian?
Yeah,
Like the app
it's
itself,
it's
it's very
basically
similar.
it's old Twitter.
Yeah, like the color scheme is the same, the UI is the same. It's pretty much just old Twitter. Yeah, like yeah, people are pretty much just jumping ship ever since they changed this whole bit with the terms and conditions, right? And I don't know if you've seen this, but one of the latest additions is that it's pretty much getting rid of this block feature. So if you're blocking an account on Twitter, for example, on X, the person you blocked will still be able to see your content, just not react to it. It's like, then what's the point
Because
of a block function, right?
I
So
don't know.
yeah, so that's kind of a privacy, like a privacy issue suddenly. Yeah, and of course I saw this Chinese artist pretty much saying that I don't accept the SNS social media, training AI using my artwork without my permission, and they don't give me a choice to don't give me a choice to choose, which is the whole not letting you opt out thing. So check my Blue Sky now, they're moving out to Blue Sky and F Twitter, right? Because this person with from the earlier tweets, I'll be here on Blue Sky if anybody needs me. So Blue Sky is like the next big thing, I guess. Maybe I'll start like logging into, I don't know, but pretty much because of how Elon has positioned itself to be, quote unquote open speech, but too open in the sense that now intellectual property from like various artists are just being exposed, is being taken away, and shifting to this whole thing. Well, they are trying to maximize monetization because, as you know, Twitter has been reportedly losing value over time. I remember that I think they had to get rid of their main office in like somewhere downtown in the downtown United States. I don't know, but yeah. So they're losing. I don't know if they're losing money, but they're losing value. It's like even with advertisers just refusing to put their content onto X, and so right now X is try to recuperate of all these this loss in like finances. Trying to steal, take data and just selling it to third party companies. I don't know how legal it is, but that is what they're doing. And so if you're talking a little bit of the legality of this, I did ask Copilot. As you can see the screen, this old Copilot, and so I asked it. It's like what's like the legal applications of AI within like the modern realm today, right? With our laws and regulations. And of course, the legality of AI generated art, as Copilot says, is the complex and evolving topic, right? These are the 4 points it mentioned. Number one, copyright issues, of course. So in the US, a judge ruled that AI generated art cannot be copyrighted because it lacks human authorship, of course, because you didn't put in any work on it. Means that these AI generated works are not protected under copyright, right? And copyright requires creativity and involvement, which none of those two is involved in an AI generated art because it's taking the styles and the subjects from somebody else. And of course, there's been several lawsuits from these companies that create AI art, such as Stability. I'm not too sure about Stability, but Midjourney. And these lawsuits argue that these AI tools infringe on the copyrights of artists by using their works without permission, right? So they're taking art from other artists and feeding it onto their LLM, right? Taking the subjects, taking the styles, and outputting something else, which is of course it's not legal, right? It's protected under intellectual property. And of course, when you're talking about selling AI art, there's still no specific laws uh, pertaining specifically to it because we haven't even figured out what AI art belongs to. who takes ownership of it. We can't even give it copyright, right? So we create this sort of a legal area. And of course, right now they're trying to see if we can extend the licensing, figuring out copyright for AI images, seeing what's the rights, what's the responsibilities that that comes into play when creating AI art. But it is of course still developing. We don't know in the near future how this is going to evolve. It's going to be down to the stakeholders, the artists, the lawmakers. That's the most important parts, politicians. We'll have to see how it goes. But of course, something we do have to consider. We talked a little bit about this in our AI 900 sessions last month, but one big thing that Microsoft is trying to push is this their principles of responsible AI, right? So there's like these six key factors when you have to consider when dealing with AI, and these are the three I think that applies most prominently when you're talking about AI art. So number one, we have reliability and safety. Of course, only use your AI generated image for good. Don't use it for crime. Don't use it for fraud. Don't use it to scam other people, right? Don't use it for deep fakes that try to mislead other people, not for misinformation, that sort of stuff. And of course, the second principle would be transparency. You do have to clarify that your image is AI generated and do not take credit for it because it is not yours, right? You are taking the styles, these subjects, they are processed through this LLM from other artists, right? So it would be pretty irresponsible for you to take ownership of this like AI art, and you do have to declare that it is AI, so people don't think that it's yours in the first place. And the last principle, of course, is accountability. You do have to make sure that your AI art doesn't infringe on intellectual property, because you know that this LLM takes information from, art from other artists, feeding it into their algorithm, their engine. But of course, there's one counterpoint I'd make to this is that this, of course, applies to intellectual property that is owned by other people. But if it comes to your own intellectual property, I feel like it's fine, right? Because I've seen people like submit their own artwork. Like, let's say artists, they submit their own like pictures into these generative AI models. So let's say like you're an artist, you have like your own style, you know that you usually create these sort of subject matters, and then you feed into this LLM that outputs a style that belongs to you, right? And I think that's pretty fine. But what do you think on that, Ian?
It's a weird legal thing. It's a moral thing as well.
Yeah, I feel like
Hard
yeah,
to say.
it is a moral thing, sure, but legal thing, I feel like it's fine because it belongs to them, right? This specifically belongs
Yeah.
to them. Yeah. What about moral thing? Yeah, you can argue for that, but legally, I think you're fine. But morally, of course, because when it comes to art, a lot of people likes to see the effort in it, right? They create the human creativity in it. But when you put in your art into an LLM, you're leaving that creativity to AI to do, right? So now it lacks creativity. Now you're just taking the common pattern from these other pictures and like squeezing it into one output, right? So it's like you're taking an aggregate of creativity and putting it here, but that creativity is not something that's new. And when we're talking about art, is that people always crave for something new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, let's do a little recap. We're supposed to do this AI face-off thing with Noel, but I don't think he's up today, which is fine. Which instead we did the little image generation demo with Copilot, and we talked a little bit about LLMs and image generation. We compared it to how the human brain learns things, right? How does it work? Of course, we discussed a little bit on the public opinion. We saw how people were not happy with people just taking styles off of, even if it's not the pictures themselves, it's not even the subjects, but the styles of like other art that's feeding it into their AI generation and like outputting an image. People are not happy with that. That's the general public opinion about it. And when we're talking about the legal grounds, it's still pretty gray. We're not sure how we're gonna deal with this yet. It is an ever evolving subject matter. and we'll have to see how it works out in the next year, next 5 years, next 10 years. It's always changing. And of course, we're last bit how to be responsible. We're looking a little bit at the Microsoft six principles of AI. Of course, in the three things we have transparency, accountability, and one more I can't remember. But yeah, so pretty much you don't take ownership of the art that's produced because it is using, of course, elements of other artist stuff, and you have to be transparent with it. Clearly stated it's AI and Nanchara Kanchara, all that stuff, right? Of course, I'd like to show our usual TTT sessions focusing on Microsoft Copilot. So usually if AI is fun, which is the current series we're going to. We talked about AI in general. We are using other tools, but if you want to talk specifically on Microsoft Copilot, which is a free tool, mostly free tool, they do have a premium version, but they cover. I know yesterday. I don't know if yesterday or 2 weeks ago. I usually can't show up for these ones because I'm usually outside. But they talk about using Copilot not only on the web, but right now they actually have a WhatsApp like chat thing. You can like chat to Copilot through WhatsApp. So if you're outside and you don't really have good cell service to be using the web version of Copilot, you can just go chat to it on WhatsApp and it'll give you an answer. Right. For that's one of the things. It's usually hosted by Ridwan every 2 Tuesdays. It usually happens the day before this current AI is fun. So I do urge you to check it out. And of course, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for watching. For all you VOD viewers out there, everything is uploaded to our YouTube channel. Yeah, we'll link this in the chat window. So yeah, thanks for tuning. And any closing remarks, Ian? I don't know if Ian is there. But yeah, so I think that ends our series this month on AI generated art. We're talking about deepfakes. We talk about straight up art and paintings and graphic illustration and all that. Seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hope it's been an informational session, 2 sessions for all of you. And I haven't figured out what's next month's thing going to be yet, but stay tuned. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm gonna stop recording right here. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Cole, for coming. Thank you, Ian, for
Okay.
I think that's good for today. Okay. See you guys next time.
Bye bye.
Cheers.